Good morning, everyone. Merry Christmas and happy holiday.
Yeah.
As you can see, we're all decked out right
We're
here.
decked.
Shazam.
Shazam. A warm a bling.
Yes, and guess what? You guys have the ability to call and actually get through because people are used to tomorrow, so we're doing it one day earlier. And anything that I say is not meant to diagnose or replace your medical treatments. So just realize to check with your qualified healthcare practitioner before taking any of the answers that we give you as solutions to any health things. But the number is 866-561-4292. Call now. We have a lot of interesting questions to ask everyone and some really great content.
I have an idea, though, to be in the mood.
Yeah. You have a, what do you have?
Because it's so decked out, because our producers did such a great job to deck it out. I think that it's only right.
No, it's going to mess up my hair.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. Deck the hall.
Come on, Dr. Berg.
Come on.
No,
now.
I don't know. I don't know.
No.
No, you can wear it though.
I'll get Steve.
Why don't you wear it?
You should wear it.
Yeah, it's Steve
I'll
and
get
Terry to watch
Steve and
it.
Terry. I would wear it. Don't dare me.
Uh-oh, there you go.
There
Perfect.
we go. Perfect, Karen. That's great.
All right.
Let's go to Rose. Rose is from New York City, and she had a question. Are you there, Rose?
Hi, Merry
Hi.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
Thanks for doing the live show this week. I was surprised. Yeah. Well, I called a couple of months earlier. I think I'm going through menopause. I'm 42, but it seems like I don't have any symptoms other than like having my period for 2 weeks, and then this month I only had a 7-day break, and then I haven't had it again. So it's been going on for this is my 3rd month already, and I don't have any night sweats. I don't have any, mood swings. The only thing that's different, I think, is just sleep. I'm having difficulty sleeping, and also my prolonged period. So my question is there any from their supplements? I've been taking kelp. I haven't tried the estrogen yet. I don't know if I need it. My diet's been the same. I've been doing keto IF for 2 years.
Okay.
Is there also, am I nutrient deficient in anything?
Got it. Good questions. I think the first thing that comes to mind that I would try, that's probably the most likely to work product, is the adrenal stress formula. I would, actually I take that back. You need the adrenal and cortisol support. That's the one I would try. Adrenal and cortisol support, because the adrenal is backing up to the ovary, and that's going to actually most likely help you complete this this pathway within the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal pathway, because the ovaries need a backup, and I think the transition is not going as smooth as it should. So I would do that. That should handle. If by some weird chance it doesn't help you, I would start taking something called inositol. Inositol is another B vitamin that supports the hormonal changes that occur through menopause. So that can help reset things, especially from the pituitary hormones coming down. That's what I would do if I were you. So try that and let us know how that works. Thanks for your call. All right. Karen, we drink a lot of Pellegrino, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so did you realize that Pellegrino contains some really cool minerals? Did you know that?
Yes.
Did you know that it contains per liter 52 milligrams of magnesium?
No.
I bet you didn't know it contained over 200 milligrams of calcium.
I did not.
And it's very, very, it's broken down into the chemistry that goes in like a rocket ship. So we have magnesium, calcium, and it goes for all spring water. So people are always concerned trying to get their electrolytes or trying to get potassium, magnesium, and calcium from food, but you can get it from water if you do spring water. A little bit of sodium And I taste it as well. It's like 44 milligrams of sodium.
Yeah.
It has a little chloride, so it's a little salty, which I like.
Calcium from food.
Oops.
And it only has a tiny bit of potassium, so don't try to get your potassium from spring water. It has some silica, which is good for your nails. Silica makes your nails really strong, and your hair strong, and your skin vibrant. And it also has something, a good amount, quite a bit of what's called bicarbonate. So those are things to help neutralize an acidity. So let's say, for example, you're on the ketogenic diet, which you tend to run more acidic, or you took kombucha tea or apple cider vinegar and you feel like you maybe went too far on the acid. Pellegrino or other types of spring waters will help bring you back.
Now let me ask a question about that. How would you know what are some symptoms you might have if you're too acid?
I just released a video on that,
Okay.
Karen. You could watch that. But if you're too acid, the biggest thing you're going to notice is your breathing. You're going to have like difficulty breathing, like just can't get enough air. So you drink some Pellegrino or other spring water, bam! You just can you can breathe. You feel calm, and so that can help you.
That's an
and also
easy.
you can have like twitches, little twitching. No, it's actually a little twitching in your eyelid or a little tetany thing going on. Sometimes muscle spasm. If you're really acid, you can have arrhythmias, but you can also have arrhythmias if you're too alkaline. So now someone did ask a question about pH because they get all this mixed information on when they Google it, like, oh, I'm too acid or too alkaline. And someone did a test and they found that I'm too acid or too alkaline. And then all of a sudden, now next thing you know, they're drinking alkaline water like at a pH of 9, which is way off the scale. And then they screw up their pH because you shouldn't try to fix your pH by consuming too much of anything, like especially like alkaline water. So if you just eat healthy, your pH will go into where it needs to go.
Yeah, because pH, I mean, it varies depending on what you're talking about, right?
Right,
You have
right.
stomach pH, you have blood pH, you have intestinal pH.
Exactly,
And they're all
Karen.
different.
That's right. Finally, someone understands me.
All right,
It's
folks,
the-
so listen, you've caught me in a rare moment of whimsy. Normally, I'm very professional here and never crack any jokes and so on, but I want to remind you and the audience that we have some great quiz questions. So whenever you get to that, by golly, I am ready.
Well, we could just jump to one of the questions right off the bat, Steve. Let's go to the first question, which is, what is the top symptom, the most common symptom of low stomach pH, since we're on the topic of pH?
Ah, there.
Okay, if you don't have enough stomach acid, what's the number one common symptom you might get? That's the question, the first question. Let's go to Michigan and talk to, I think it's Dearborn from Michigan. No, that's Dearborn, Michigan. All right, so I don't even have a name. Oh, yes, I do. Zara from Michigan. Okay,
Hello, Michigan.
Your last name is Michigan. How are you?
Hi, doctor. It's actually Zara from Michigan.
Zara. And your last name is Michigan.
How are you?
Nice to meet you, Mrs. Michigan.
Doctor, I've been having problems like for the past, I would say the past year, with my stomach. Like, I'm a very fit person. I work out. I eat very clean. But lately, no matter how clean I eat, I'm still having problems. And I've been coming across your videos regarding low stomach acid, and I think that's what I'm going through. I get really constipated most times. Like, I would drink like the smooth move teas, anything that would help, but nothing's helping. I was even prescribed Miralax, and it never helped me.
So I have a question.
Like,
I have a question. Did this start when you started keto and intermittent fasting, or is it something that's been going on?
I'm not keto, to be honest, but I've been eating very clean. I'm not much of a bread eater. I would say my carbs are about, on a daily basis, between 50 to 100 grams a day, but nothing wild, no junk food, no nothing.
Okay. Would you be willing to try something new?
Yeah, I'm willing, yeah.
Okay, good. I would get on hardcore keto exactly like I say in my book, and that will help you greatly because I can recommend betaine hydrochloride, which you should be taking, which is going to acidify your stomach and help you. But unless you get your diet implemented and get it corrected, it may not solve your problem. So try that. And in addition to betaine hydrochloride, I would probably take, you can take the digestive formula that I have, that you can take that, or just get betaine hydrochloride and take about 5 before you eat. Because what's happening is you're getting an incomplete digestion. So things are ending up undigested, and that's why you're constipated. But I would definitely encourage you to get on the keto plan. All right, thanks, Zara. And then we're going to go to Karen.
Yeah.
And Karen has some real interesting questions after we get the answer
Yes.
to the question.
Yeah. So, variety of answers, but the top is probably bloating, reflux, heartburn. There's others, indigestion, constipation. I'm going to go with burping.
Okay. Well, the answer is indigestion, which includes all of the following.
Everybody's right.
But indigestion is more like the food's just kind of stuck there and it's not going through, and you feel real full, and then you have pressure and you're bloating and you get all these other issues. So that is the first symptom, including gas. So if you have any of these symptoms, that means you need more acidity, acidifiers. So betaine hydrochloride is a really good remedy, and it'll add the chlorides to make hydrochloric acid. And I will be releasing a video on that. But you need not just one, you need like 5 with the meal. Now, my guitar teacher at one time, he was taking 9 to 12 per meal, because he said, wow, I found I can get away with consuming 5 Guys, which is a lot of burgers and things. I'm like, that's probably not the best idea, but I understand that probably help you digest. Mm-hmm. So as you get older, you need more stomach acid help.
Don't chew betaine hydrochloride.
It's very acidic, don't chew it. But it'll help you greatly. And it does take some time. It could take weeks to months to really get it completely corrected. But if you're on an acid, what's going to happen is it's going to go from bad to worse, because it's going to now take that last bit of acid you have and pull it out. And I used to have remember I had that testing kit? I would have there's little pills with string. People would swallow it,
yes,
lay on the right side
rough.
for 15 minutes. We'd pull it back up, measure the pH. And I was shocked to find how many people had a pH that was almost neutral. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. No wonder they have heartburn. Mm-hmm. But I discontinued that test after someone had really a dry throat or esophagus, and I couldn't pull it back up. I'm like pulling the string, and they're just like,
a terrible story.
It was stuck in their throat.
I remember that.
So I ended up cutting the string and having them swallow it. And, after that I said, no, that's it.
You told me you folded them up in a suitcase and got rid of them.
It was like I was fishing, and I was trying to pull this hook out of the esophagus there.
Well, that was a very long time ago.
I won't do that again. That was actually 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Okay. Hey, let's take a question.
Go ahead, Karen.
All right, good. MS on YouTube wants to know, can you take vitamins on an empty stomach?
For MS or just?
No, the initials are MS.
Absolutely. I think I would do that for pretty much most nutrients. I mean, there are certain nutrients that you could take a little bit of oil, let's say, for example, the vitamin D, vitamin E, but in the vitamin D product that I have, I put oil in there. In fact, pretty much all the fat-soluble nutrients that I have, I put a MCT oil in there as a powder to help people absorb it. But yes, it depends on what you're taking.
Yeah, it depends on what you're taking. And if it doesn't feel good, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Okay, what about, gastroparesis and diautonomia?
Autonomia? Yeah. Okay, so gastroparesis is a sluggishness with your digestive system. So the food sits there, and it's exactly what I talked about. It's kind of like a type of indigestion. It's what can help that greatly is taking more acid, but there's also another situation that can cause it, which can affect your dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system, which you're trying to pronounce that condition. So you need vitamin B1 to handle this part of the autonomic nervous system to help that. So if you have gastroparesis where the digestion is slow, some really good vitamin B1 is essential. And another one that's really good, especially if you also have, you're pre-diabetic, is something called benfotiamine, which is fat-soluble B1 that will help dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system. Other conditions are called like POTS, where you're standing up too quickly and you kind of like get dizzy, and you there's several conditions like that affect that, but those are two common ones.
Okay, good. So what about someone that has an eating disorder? I mean, I actually got several questions this morning. Advice for someone with an eating disorder of binge eating, and binge eating even if they are keto, trying to be keto.
I mean, do they have, they're binging, are they bulimic or just binging?
It's just stating binging, but it's an eating disorder. So I can imagine that there would be purging after the binging.
Well, I tell you, the binging has to do with just like this obsessive snacking. Let's just put the bulimic thing over to the side. It's a trap, because as soon as you do it, boy, you're in this cycle of blood sugars, and if your blood sugars are down because the insulin's too high pushing it, it's going to affect your mental state to the point where it's going to be very difficult to get out of that trap and just say no, because your body, you have a body demanding the carb. It's not so it's not just mental, it's physical. So the only way out of that is to, first of all, go low carb, number one, and then consume more fat so you can fast longer to the point where you have no physical demand for sugar. And then it's going to be easier. And then it's just a matter of overcoming the habit of doing it. And you have to stay real busy, and and then keep it out of the house, and do the best you can. But if someone is bulimic, I highly recommend that you take a lot of high-level nutrients, a lot of B1, get a lot of sleep, and really take care of your blood sugars, because that's going to put you more in control of this impulse and help you greatly. So that's what I would do.
Dr. Berg, would you define sugar a little bit? I mean, I know it's Hershey bar and lava cake and all that, but for those that might have a roll now and then and so on, I mean, where do you say, well, that's not as bad, but maybe it is, right? Is eating a bunch of bread and butter just as bad as having a payday bar or something? Or,
Well, that all has to do with how fast that carbohydrate influences your blood sugar. So there's something called the glycemic index, and it goes really, really high. Like we have pure sugar, and then you have low, you have celery. They're both carbohydrates. One has more fiber. So, and then you're right in the middle there, you have grains, and then you have starches. And the more you cook a starch, like a potato, you get a higher spike on the scale. So a potato chip is a killer for your blood sugars. Yet if you have a raw potato, no problem, go for it. But who's going to want to eat a raw potato? And then you have bread. That's a problem. So unfortunately, it's not on the keto plan, and so you want to just avoid all that. And the carbs that you can have are some small amount of berries and some vegetables. So, and not get too crazy in the fruit, especially apples, because it's like 19 grams per apple. It's like eating a candy bar. And so we want to kill those carbs. And I'm having kind of some entertaining videos coming up about killing carbs. It's my version of killing carbs, and you'll have to go to TikTok to see that probably next week. You can search it. So I have a whole series of Dr. Berg killing carbs.
Murdering
literally.
Carbs.
Yeah. It involves a sledgehammer and
some carbohydrates.
A stump in my backyard, and you haven't seen it because we filmed it yesterday. So you'll have to stay tuned for some interesting entertainment. You're probably going, okay.
I'm wondering, where is there a stump in our backyard?
If you look back there, I pulled one out and I set it all up and we did the whole filming, and I do need to go clean up some of the
Food?
stuff. Yeah. I should have had a blooper video, because when you use a
Well,
sledgehammer.
let's hope Charlie doesn't find it.
Yeah. But I had to put all that clothes into the wash machine.
How about a quiz?
Yes.
Thank you. He stops the rambling.
Okay, so the next question is, does your skin contain friendly bacteria? True or false? Your skin contains friendly bacteria. True or false?
Oh, right.
All right.
Okay, I have a question here. Christian's wondering, on YouTube, his kidneys are in bad shape from alcohol abuse.
Okay.
Okay, and he's wanting to know what can be done to help heal them now. And we're going to assume that the damage isn't continuing, but even if it is, what can you do to help your kidneys out?
It's the same thing you can do by helping your liver out, which is the same program that we recommend. It's a healthy version of keto. However, if you check with your doctor in this, what stage you are with kidney damage. Is it at stage 4 or 5? If it is, now you have to modify the diet, because if you do high amounts of potassium, that could be a problem. There's certain nutrients you can't do if you have kidney damage. And I'm talking about advanced kidney damage, but if it's real mild, then you can do it, because potassium is protective and certain other nutrients are protective. So check with your doc, but I would highly recommend getting off of the foods that destroy the kidney, which is, of course, alcohol and refined carbs. I mean, take a look at a diabetic. They have a lot of problems with the kidney. So get on the healthy keto. It's the best thing you can do. And fasting as well. That will actually increase the regeneration of kidney tissue. All right.
Good.
What do we have?
Okay. Are you guys answering this question? I don't see the answers coming through yet.
Well, you got to scroll down, is it?
Yeah, actually, I did a ton of trues, by the way. Tons of trues.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, here's a true. Okay, it just scrolled right past there. Sorry about that. True, 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 yes, true, true, true. True, 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 yes, true.
Is there any falses?
No.
Okay, so you guys are correct. And that was pretty an easy question. You have a tremendous amount of good bacteria and other friendly microbes on the surface of your body, okay? And one of the things that sometimes people with acne think is that it's coming from bacteria that's because their skin is dirty, and they start scrubbing the skin using cleansers and detergents and things that pull the oils out and antibacterial soaps, and they end up taking that friendly
Acids.
Right. They're exfoliating things. They take that friendly bacteria off the skin, and guess what's going to happen? You get inflammation. And now you have to do something about that because the skin is not as healthy. You lose the diversification. So now your skin is not as healthy. So you got to be careful about over cleaning your skin and what you put on your skin, because that friendly bacteria actually is part of your immune system, and it protects the skin. So that's an FYI.
There you go.
For those people who try to over clean their skin, especially with blackheads and stuff like that. All right, so let's go to Cesar from California, Temecula.
Ah, Temecula.
Hello.
Hey, Doc.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
My question is in, excuse me, in anosmia. For people who have anosmia because of COVID, is there a recommendation as to what they can do to speed up the process of recovery?
Yes. So this is a condition where your smell is gone. You need zinc, zinc, and I would take 225 milligrams of zinc, and that should help your sensation of smell come back. Plus, it's going to help your immune system. I wouldn't hurt to throw some vitamin D in there too.
Yeah, question about that. Okay, so why do some people feel sick when taking as little as 50 milligrams of zinc sometimes.
Well, it could be because you're not taking it. You're taking it out of the normal combination of trace minerals. I think you'd have much better a much better solution by taking it with in a blend of trace minerals. So that now you have the copper in there, because zinc always works with other nutrients. So I would take that with the copper and the other trace minerals at the same time, and you should not have a problem with that. Also, it could be the source of zinc that you're taking. Certain zinc is kind of really hard on the system, so that could be why.
So is there a special formula or a combination to get zinc without feeling the feeling of sickness? Because it's not just me, but other people that take it. My family, I gave it to my son, and then all of a sudden we were like, feeling like gross.
Yeah.
Wanting to barf.
Yeah, I think what I would do is I'm not biased, but I have a trace mineral has higher amounts of zinc. I would probably go with that, and because it's a very bioavailable zinc, you don't need as much. So I would take probably 5 of those a day, or 5 or 6 a day, of the trace mineral that I have. That has all the trace minerals, plus it has some additional ones to help balance zinc, especially in copper, in the right ratios. And they're all plant-based, so.
It's just a good daily supplement anyway.
Yes, but here's the thing too. Some people say, well, plant-based zinc is not as bioavailable as animal. That's true, but this is taken from an ancient layer of the earth that had prehistoric plants that made it more bioavailable. So it's not just, you're not consuming, like, you're not getting your zinc from like lettuce or spinach, but you can also get zinc from animal foods as well, and especially shellfish and seafood. All right, I need to go to Michelle, who's been waiting patiently from Maryland, Elliott City. Hi, Michelle.
Ellicott City.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I am a twin, fraternal twin, and my sister and I are 51, and we've both done the keto diet and lost weight and felt great. But I have a symptom that she doesn't get that bothers me, so I always stop. And that is, even though my ketones get up to like 1.0, so I think I'm on the right track, my eyes get very itchy and dry and really bloodshot, and nothing seems to help that. And the other thing is my cholesterol goes from like 280 to 320.
Yeah.
So I really want to do the diet, but I'm missing something, I think.
Yeah, and you're describing a vitamin A deficiency, but I don't think it's vitamin A. I think you just need some bile salts. I think what's happening is you don't have enough bile to pull in the vitamin A, and also other vitamins too. But bile salts that's generated from your liver help you metabolize and regulate cholesterol. So anytime someone does keto and the cholesterol goes up, you could just take some bile salts, and that will greatly help. And take one in the morning, empty stomach, one after lunch, and then maybe one in the afternoon. But make sure that you keep the carbs low. Make sure you do a little bit more fasting. And once you take the bile for like a week or so, then add some cod liver oil to make sure you can actually get more vitamin A, and you can take it with the bile to be able to help your vision. If that doesn't work, and it should work, then it just tells us that there's going to be a transition phase, and you still have some insulin resistance that you need to push through. But I think it will work. Thanks for your call. All right, let's take a social media question, Karen.
Okay, good. I can't find the name anymore, but someone here is a brain aneurysm and wants some recommendations for how to prepare their body before and then help after surgery.
Well, I think the best thing to do for repair of brain tissue is to spike your DHA, which they've done studies and they found they've given people high levels of DHA, which is basically omega-3 fatty acids. Let's well, it's not, it's one of the omega-3 fatty acids. But what happens if you take higher amounts, it can help repair brain damage and brain injury. So you can also do the hyperbaric, which is awesome as well, the oxygen chamber. But DHA in higher amounts is what I would do if I were you.
Okay.
Okay?
So is it simple?
Yes. And Karen, I want to talk about the importance of fat, saturated fats.
Okay.
From, like, say you're eating a steak, and some people cut the fat off, some people keep it on. And I personally usually cut it off, but I should be eating it with the steak because that fat has some interesting things in it that I'm going to do a video on. And it has vitamin K2. It has something called CLA, which is really good for losing weight and your health. And it's also really important for those people with digestive issues, especially if they have leaky gut. But that fat has some really important properties.
I don't mind that you cut the fat off your steak.
That's right, because you eat it. It's if you wanted a good fat to cook your eggs in, or cook some other products in, tallow. Tallow.
And tallow is what?
Beef fat.
What about pork fat?
Now, there's a lot of mixed reviews on that, simply because the quality might not be there, especially if you're getting it from the local grocery store. That
What if it's organic?
Well, let's say that pig is consuming organic grains. See, the stomach of a pig is not like a stomach of a cow. They just have like one stomach, so they don't do well on just grains. So there's more inflammation. But I think, though, if you could find a pig that's been fed food that is a lot healthier and it's organic, that would be awesome. But I think
Gotta
the
find
best
that
thing, I think
pig.
the best thing to do is to raise your own pigs, which I would like to do. You said we could.
Chickens are enough.
You said we had the option.
You'll fall in love with the darn thing, and then you'll never slaughter it.
And that's it. It's already with a animal. If I look in their eyes and they have like those steer, you know, those big brown eyes and those big eyelashes, it's all I can do to not name them and
You're
know they're
saying
going to be
eat
in
oatmeal,
my freezer.
please.
I know.
Can we talk with Eddie from Arkansas?
We can.
Okay, Eddie, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Great.
Hi.
All right. I've been going through a lot, back through my teens. I was going through stuff, different stages, and different stuff was happening to me. And now I'm turned 49. I'm 49 now. I turn 50, and I suffer. I got that tinnitus now, but it's not. It comes, it goes. It comes, it goes. It might stay gone, then come back.
Okay.
So this person was telling me it might be a phase of your teen. You growing up. It might be a phase. It might leave when you turn 50.
It's called menopause.
Can't never tell.
Menopause.
Yeah. So so that's what he's trying to tell me. So he said it might leave when you turn 50. You might be going through a phase. But
Okay.
I was looking at you on YouTube when you said get that some kind of inhaler to spray in your nose. If it get louder, that means you have to go through something else for you, like some kind of chest stuff you was talking about taking.
Oh, okay.
What?
So I have a question for you, Eddie. Are you at all
Yes, sir.
pre-diabetic?
No, sir.
Okay. Are you on a keto eating plan and doing intermittent fasting?
No, sir. I'm trying to get some help. I'm trying to. They told me to get this earring stuff to put in your ear.
Okay.
The little drops. I got it, but I'm scared to use it.
Yeah. I think I have a solution for you, Eddie.
Yes, sir.
I think I have a solution for you. I did 2 videos on tinnitus, which is ringing the ear, and you can watch them both. And then there's one technique that you can try. It works maybe 40 to 50% of the time. Doesn't work all the time. And the other video is about taking a product called benfotiamine. I want to explain what that is. You can get it from the health store It's called benfotiamine. That's a fat-soluble B vitamin, and that may help you because it supports the kind of the outer covering of the nerve. But if you're not on keto, that could explain why you might have the symptom, because so many people, especially as they get older, they start developing problems with what's called insulin resistance, and it affects the tiny nerves, sometimes of the inner ear. So if I were you, I think it would be less important to take that remedy, but I would take it, I mean, if you could get it, than to do what's called healthy keto, which is a certain eating plan, and intermittent fasting. If you go to my website, Dr. Berg, go to blog, I have video 1, 2, 3, you just watch all those videos, and you start getting on this eating plan. What that should do, Eddie, is drop your inflammation throughout your whole body, including the inner ear, and I think that will probably produce the biggest impact with regard to what your symptom is, more than anything else. And if that doesn't 100% handle it, take some benfotiamine. But just let's keep it simple. Get on healthy keto, and you're going to find that that's going to help you with a lot of things, especially as you go into your 50s. And you know, I'm 39, so I don't know what it's like. I'm just kidding. I'm 55, I think. But yes, so do keto. In fact, do I have this? Yes, I do this. Okay, so I'm not going to say anything because I have it as part of my question. Karen, are we ready for a quiz?
Yes.
Okay. What's worse for your health? Juice or soda? Oh, okay. What's worse for your liver? Juice or soda? Okay, that's the question.
Okay.
And then we're going to go take a question from the social medias.
Social media wants to know why they are up going to the bathroom so much in the middle of the night.
This is such a simple solution, and it's so easy, and it's unnecessary to have to get up even one time a night. And I'm going to cover this in the advanced video next year. So if you want to watch it, I'm just kidding.
Stay tuned.
No, it's real simple.
You got to watch for a year.
No, this is what's happening. I'm not saying you guys have prediabetes, but I am saying that there's a version of prediabetes that's even pre-diabetes, and it's called insulin resistance. And that happens, it affects your urination, especially at night. You're going to find that you're going to go a little more at night than during the day even sometimes. So all you have to do is get on keto for real. That means cutting your carbohydrates down. And what's going to happen is you're going to notice, like, wow, instead of 10 times a night, it's 3 times a night. Give it more time, include intermittent fasting, and sure enough, all of a sudden you slept through the whole night, didn't get up once. It's purely a blood sugar issue, and wherever the blood sugar goes, if you have high sugar in your body, that's where the water goes, so it's going right through the kidney, and I'm telling you, just try it, and you'll see it will work. Okay?
Okay.
All right, Karen, what else do we have? Do we have another question?
Well, we have a lot of answers. Do you want answers?
Oh, yeah, I want the answers.
Tons and tons of answers. So it's funny because we have probably an equal amount juice as soda, and then tons of people are saying both.
Okay, so, you know, when I say what is worse, I'm just talking by a millimeter, okay? I'm not talking by, they're both worse, but...
They're both bad.
Right,
yeah.
But it's just relative. The juice is slightly worse if you take the same volume, even if it's 100% fruit juice. Why? Because it has about 5 to 10% more fructose.
So remember, this is for the liver, worse for the liver.
Yeah. Worse for the whole entire body, actually.
Okay.
But it's bad for the liver, too. So what happens when you have more fructose, even though it's low on the glycemic index, your body deals with glucose differently. So you only have one organ to deal with this sugar, and that's the liver. So liver is like, why do I have to do all this work? So it gets overwhelmed. It has to metabolize and break it down. It overwhelms it, and then you start developing fat on the liver, insulin resistance, and a lot of other issues. So, but realize too that the high fructose corn syrup that's in the soda is probably not any better, but it has a little less fructose, believe it or not.
Amazing.
Yeah, fruit.
It has a ton of other crap in it, but
fruit juice has less fructose than high fructose corn syrup.
no, you said fruit juice
juice
has less.
Less fructose. I'm sorry, has more fructose
Right.
than high fructose corn syrup. Yeah.
So, you know, it's funny because I know as a mom, juice was the thing, right? When the kids
Yes.
were little,
I
it's sort
know.
of this agreed upon thing. It's in schools, it's in
You think it's healthier.
sports break. What do? Everybody gets the juice pack. Yeah, the idea is that juice is so great for a child, a developing child or anyone.
There's only one thing worse than that. That would be like the sweetener agave nectar, which has a massive amount of, I think it's like 90% fructose. That's worse than juice as far as the sweetener goes. So but what they do is they put it as keto friendly because it's low in the glycemic index, but that's misleading. So watch my video on that. I think I just released it.
Okay.
All right. Paul, you're from Front Royal, Virginia, right on the edge of the mountains. Go ahead. You're next.
Thank you, doctor.
Sure.
My question is, I had stage 4 bladder cancer. They ended up removing it, and they installed an Indiana pouch. And by doing that, they built me a new bladder from the ascending colon. And so my question with that is, I am assuming from what little research I've been able to do that I have, just because of the portion of the ascending colon that they removed, I've gone through metabolic changes, and I was curious as if you had any insight as to what significant metabolic changes due to the removal of that portion of my colon.
Well, I could imagine just the surgery alone, what happens, it puts a tremendous amount of stress on your adrenal glands. I'm talking about a spike of cortisol. And this is, I did a video on this, like after surgery, after cancer, after even a major infection, it can actually put someone almost into a metabolic syndrome state because you're having this spike of cortisol. So what you need to do is support the adrenals for sure. Of course, get on healthy keto for sure and intermittent fasting, because that will start turning things around for your adrenals. But there's one other thing that you can do, just in general, for those people that had some trauma to the bladder. And it's basically a massage. If you take your hands and you massage very low in your abdomen, right above that first bone, it's called the symphysis pubis. It's a little bone on the top, the front part of your pelvis. You can look it up, and you start pressing in there gently. You're going to feel there's a lot of protective muscles that are in a spasm in that area. That you massage that area over a period of some weeks, and you're going to find a lot of improvement as far as the flow of urine, the tension, the stress in that area, and even because stress from surgery leaves an impression on the body. And so even though it might be months after the surgery, that stress could still be there in a state of a kind of a spasm. So that's what I would do if I were you, Paul. Thanks for your call. All right, Karen.
Hey, well, I see Ted Lovejoy on YouTube. Hey, Ted.
Hey, Ted.
How's it going? Well, he wants to know, do cinnamon supplements help with high blood sugar?
Only if you do it in the form of Cinnabon. Cinnamon is really, really, really beneficial for your blood sugars. And it helps insulin resistance. It's great for a diabetic. And so you definitely want to use it, not on your sugar and toast type thing that
That's
you
what
had,
we used to do when we were
butter,
little.
but
So
just
good.
as a supplement, or put it in your coffee, or put it in some keto bombs. But cinnamon is a good spice to use. And then you can also, if you add clove to that, okay.
Now you're talking. These are my all-time favorite spices.
That's why I said it.
All the time. You just wanted to get a reaction out of
Yep.
it.
and it worked. So, but clove is a very good antibacterial. There's a lot of other stuff in there, but so it's good for.
Good for teething.
Yes, chewing a clove.
And cinnamon also. And what about this? People use cinnamon for. Is it an appetite suppressant?
Yeah, because it affects your blood sugars in a positive way.
There you go. Okay, Ted. Expect to see you with
Who knew?
a cinnamon stick in
Who
your
knew
mouth.
that?
Who knew? We have cinnamon and clove on those ribs in the oven right now.
Yes, and one thing I like about those ribs that we're going to eat a little bit later is the we want to have all that connective tissue that's connected to the bone.
Don't worry, I'm not
that.
going to remove the connective tissue.
You want to eat that because that's really good for your own tendons and your own connective tissue, because you have the sternum right here, and you got the ribs, and there's a cartilage connection, okay, and there's a condition called costochondritis, which is inflammation of that cartilage, and you press on it. I'm releasing a video on that. I'm going to tell you what to do if you have that.
So ribs is good for that, or cartilage.
It can.
Connective tissue.
That made my apostat fall about 3 points.
See how I tied that into?
No.
I tied in eating our ribs all the way to an inflammation
Bring
of
it
your own
around.
ribs.
So just as a note,
I'm not done tying
this
it
is
into.
what it's like eating at our dinner table. And we could have anything on the table. And the kids are talking about school or their day, and we're eating something, and he says, that reminds me
Karen, I can't help
of
it.
IBS
All
and
night
inflammation
long.
of.
My head is into this topic, and I have to tell everyone about the details. But the interesting thing about the ribs is I was taking Lucy, who's a granddaughter, and kind of playing around with her on a little hill, going around in a circle. We got so dizzy. I kind of put her down, and I fell on my fist. Somehow I fell on the ground and literally bruised my ribs, and it's finally healed. But it's just like, gave myself some costochondritis, Karen.
Well, you're going to be eating some ribs later today as a Christmas dinner.
Well, that sounds like a plan.
And I'm going to help you heal that.
This is exciting. Watch it, watch it.
Okay.
What
do we want to do now?
We want to just give them another question.
A quiz?
Quiz question.
Okay.
So let's put it up on the screen because I cannot read my handwriting. What is the biggest problem with regular sea salt? There's a lot of problems, but what's the biggest problem?
Okay, while these guys are answering that, a salt question. Bill on YouTube brings up this interesting point. If keto is an ancestral diet, which I don't know that it is, but say it is, right?
It is.
Okay. Then why do we need extra salt, sea salt, now? Suggesting, did they have inadequate sea salt when they were eating, or did they have more salt naturally with whatever they were eating? Oh, that was a really good question, Bill.
I think it's a good question. Certain animals, horses, cows need salt, deer needs salt. I think maybe that just tells you that our bodies were designed, because we have requirements for salt. So obviously our bodies were designed close to the shores of an ocean to get this salt water or seafood, because we required it. And if you don't get enough salt, you literally die. So we need a certain amount of salt or our muscles get weak. In fact, what I'm going to do is, you just gave me another idea for the next video. What is the first symptom of a salt deficiency? I'm just always trying to think of something. Okay.
Well, there you go, Bill. Thanks. You gave him a video, and it's a good point. And, you know, who's to say it was an ancestral diet, but who's to say that you know, people that lived on the coast and ate seafood and things like that may well have been much healthier and lived longer lives. We know that, you know, people in the olden days didn't live as long as we're living now in many places, but in some places they did live longer.
The other thing that was kind of a evolutionary thing that really helped even develop a bigger brain is the DHA from the seafood. Started consuming that and started developing a little larger brain because
Probably
the
why
DHA.
they live so long in the blue zone. Isn't that an island?
You know what's interesting about the Blue Zone?
We got to go there.
Yeah, but you know what?
What?
They do have a high rate of certain autoimmune diseases, and I don't know why, but I'm still looking at
It's
that.
all the
It's
carbs.
something. There's something. No, they don't. I mean, not as
Okay,
much.
you lost me. Blue Zone?
Oh,
It's off the coast of or
Italy.
by Italy.
I thought they
Um,
lived super, super long.
They do. I'm not saying they don't live long, but I'm just saying there's a very, very high incidence of autoimmune. Don't ask me why. I'm still looking at that. There's some
Okay.
theories out there.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay, let me
What
go
do we
back
have,
here
Karen?
and see, because we talked right through it. Okay, so ask the question again.
All right. So, what's the biggest problem with sea salt? Regular sea salt.
So, interesting. A couple people here say microplastic. Wow, you guys are in the know. I didn't even know. I know in some spices it contains wood pulp, and they don't have to mark that it contains wood pulp. But I didn't know about the plastics, but a lot of people are saying microplastics.
Oh, that's interesting. What a coincidence. They must have watched my video I just released
Oh.
yesterday that Karen did not watch. So that's revealing. But
Okay, is that the answer?
yes, that is the answer.
Okay.
Microplastics.
I can't keep up with them all.
I'll send them over to you in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, so microplastics. Now, if you're doing Himalayan salt from, from the Himalayas, you're not. That was before we had humans and pollution, so you're not going to find microplastics up there in the mountain. Also, Celtic salt, you're not going to find it. There's, I think, red salt is good. There's several others that are good, but just because it says sea salt, it could be from an area of the ocean that's polluted, and 90%, 9 out of 10 companies have been found to have microplastics, which can act as a endocrine disruptor. So any products that you see sea salt, don't consume it. We're trying to go away from microplastics.
So you have to do a little more research. It's not that all sea salt is bad, but or
One
is
big
it?
connection.
Well, if it's like if you just see it on a label, chances are it's probably not going to be. You have like a 90% chance it's going to have microplastics. But
Wow.
if you're buying a high quality sea salt that you know it doesn't have it, then obviously you're going to be better off. But
But the Himalayan sea salt, the Himalayan salt, that's sea salt, right?
yes, but that's from a mountain ridge.
Okay.
Just a quick note, the problem is that all these plastic chairs and everything, eventually, yes, they break down, but they turn into what Dr. Berg just described. And so plastic is with us for millions of years, and just because it turns into these little micro pellets doesn't mean it is gone. It's very difficult to break down, and we're all consuming it. So I'm not a big environmental guy, but I'll tell you what, plastic is a nightmare for our planet, and we got to do something about it.
Yeah, and it just creates inflammation, and so you need to do everything you can to minimize the exposure and also build up your own system so you don't, because there's certain chemicals in those plastics that cause cancer, and so it's in the lining of water bottles.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the lining of cans, like in canned water. So you want to do it glass. Glass is the best because these chemicals. Actually, there was a huge study I just released that just does decrease your lifespan. So why even be exposed to it if you don't have to?
It's a lot of stuff to watch out for, but hey, what else are you going to do?
Might as well get healthy.
What else are you going to do, right? Hey, I want to say this because this is super cool. Where'd it go? Nicole Marie Peterson is watching from YouTube, via YouTube. I don't know where she is. But she typed in, Dr. Berg, I lost 200 pounds because of you.
Wow. That's so awesome.
That is awesome.
Amazing.
She loves the apple cider vinegar, I guess, too, because
Oh,
she's
that's great.
thumbs
that's
up
great.
and doing this. And, I mean, it's there's two things. Yes, without all your information and all your research, none of this would be able to happen. But the other thing is I just go, wow, Nicole, you applied the data and you stuck with it to lose 200 pounds. That is outstanding.
Would you be able to lift someone up that's 200 pounds?
No.
I know. That's a heavy weight. That's like huge. That's amazing
It's a
to be
huge
able
amount
to
of weight.
take
So
that weight
very
off your
well
body.
done.
Think about what's happening to her knees, her joints and her ankles, the pressure on her low back. Probably just gave her so much relief just from having that huge weight.
Very well done,
That's
Nicole.
really well
That
done.
is awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's
That's awesome.
really awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
What do we have as the? We already did the. Okay, we did the microplastics.
We did the microplastics.
Now we're going to go to Christian from Sacramento, California. Had a question. Go ahead, Christian.
Oh my God, it's a pleasure.
All right.
Hello?
Hello. Hi.
Hi, so I just had a CT scan. They seen that I have a fatty liver and also that my kidneys are not doing too well. I'm really high. I'm like 190 MMC on creatine, urine test, I guess. I haven't read too much about it. And, you know, I stopped drinking. I was drinking for like over a decade, and I stopped for like over 6 months now. 6 months now. And, you know, I'm still having a lot of bowel problems. Feel like low energy. I did get a sleep apnea test done, and I ain't going to get a machine. So I'm hope that's going to help me on that part, on the sleeping part. But as far as my kidneys and fatty liver, what would you, what knowledge can you give me to help me out?
Yeah. Question. Have you started yet on the healthy keto diet as well as intermittent fasting yet?
I've been on it for about 3 weeks. I
Okay.
haven't had one piece of bread.
Good for you.
But I'm still having those bowel problems, and it's a little bit frustrating, but it probably takes time.
So let me explain what to do, because you're dealing with a little weakness within the liver because you're not, because you have a fatty liver. So the capacity of that function is less than it should be. So you're on the keto plan. Awesome. Stay with it. It's going to help you. It's going to take some time, but to speed up, especially to take that fat off the liver, you need purified bile salts. There's something I would recommend, gallbladder formula, because it has purified bile salts and a lot of other things. I would probably take one in the morning, take one for lunch, take one in the afternoon, and that's going to start to help speed up the release of fat off the liver. And that will also help your bowels, because I don't think you have enough bile to help the lubrication through the bowels. The bile also acts as an anti-inflammatory in the digestive system, very, very essential. But the last thing that I would recommend is called choline. Get you some choline and then take it, probably double the dosage. Choline is a real powerful thing to speed up removal of fat from the liver, and I think that's going to help you greatly. I think you're going to be in for a treat, though. Just give it another month or so. All right. Karen, we have another question.
We have 2 minutes.
Okay. Should the elderly do intermittent fasting?
Okay.
That's a question.
And then I want to ask a question. I know you have some calls here, but Jeff on YouTube says he's confused about the difference between fasting and starving.
Yeah, yeah.
And I saw an interesting video where someone explained, you know, this is just going to be my 2 cents, and then of course Jeff's asking you, but that fasting is a voluntary withholding of food for a period of time in order to get your body to utilize its own food source. So there's no starving. A starving is non-voluntary lack of nutrients to a point where, you know.
And you saw this video, and it wasn't mine, because I created one on it, which I'll...
It
So, yeah.
wasn't you, but it was
Watching alternate videos,
it
Karen?
was. It popped up. It popped up. What am I gonna say? It's
So-
someone you love.
So when you fast, you're tapping into your fat. When you're starving, you no longer have any fat, so now you're tapping into your muscle and organ tissue. That's the basic difference. And so, so if you have any fat in your body to burn, you're not going to starve. You will not starve, because your body will always go after the fat first before these other things.
Good.
All right, so
Okay.
Gary, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yes, please. I've got a cardiologist appointment on Monday, and he's giving me a lot of grief because my triglycerides are high. My total cholesterol is 249, triglycerides 161, and so on.
Okay.
Do I need to be concerned overly about that, or just tell him to read your material?
Hey, Gary, I just had a question. Are you on keto?
I am.
Okay.
19 months, 60 pounds.
Wow.
A1C is 5.6.
Wow.
And I absolutely I absolutely love what you're doing. You and Karen are superstars. Diane and I, between the two of us, have lost over 120 pounds.
Oh,
wow.
We're getting healthier by the day.
Oh, that's great, Gary. Gary, I think this is what what I would do. Realize that the main type of fat that is stored in your fat cells, adipose tissue, is triglycerides. And when you're on keto, it's coming out. So you're going to have more circulating triglycerides to use as energy. There's a couple ways you could deal with this. I would definitely want to get an advanced lipid profile to look at the LDL, which is the most important thing, and as far as the different types of LDL. And then I would also probably add some purified bile salts to this that will help you. I would also add maybe some exercise, because these triglycerides are packaged and they're going to be used as energy. So if you exercise more, you'll burn them off as energy. Personally, I would not be that concerned. I think a CAC test, a coronary artery calcification test, would be way, way more important, especially since there's actually no evidence to show that high triglycerides are connected to increased risk of heart disease. There's nothing out there. I'd like to see it. It's been debunked. I mean, some of the original false studies that they omitted some data in some of the studies. So that's my take on it, Gary. Gallbladder is something I would support with the bile salts. And then I think we need to answer this question, and I'll take the last question.
The answer's yes. Everybody agrees.
Yeah. In fact, this is the thing. I've had someone say, "Well, is someone too old to do fasting?" No. In fact, the older you get, the more it needs to be a requirement. You know why? Because fasting increases your lifespan. It actually makes you live longer. Why would you not? There's not one good reason not to fast when you get older. Not one. So, yes, the older you are, the more you need to fast. Period. Let's see. Let's go to Giovanni from Iowa. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so a person that works in a stressful environment and has a fast access to drink pop each time that person gets stressed. And that's a loop and never ends.
Yeah.
And then after work, you keep with those carbohydrates and go on and go on and go on. How can you break that habit, especially when that person doesn't, it's not that they don't trust in keto, but they don't like avocados or eggs or cheese. So which is the first big step so that person can break that habit when they feel stressed and they have to go to the carbohydrates or pop or that kind of stuff?
Okay, so you may be able to find this from the health food store. You might have to order online. I think it's called Zevia. There's this, there's alternative. You need a substitution, something like a sweet soda that doesn't have the sugar. They have all these different sodas at the health food store, Zevia, and there's different other ones that you could take. And it's actually just like a soda, and it's sweet, and it has stevia in it. And you won't tell the difference. It's pretty close. And that's what you bring to work with you. That's what you drink. One thing you have to realize is as you give into these sodas, to give you this very temporary break in stress, your stress will now go up higher and higher and higher and higher. So it's a trap. It's like almost like a drug. And so you really need to have a substitute and get your blood sugars under control, so then the craving will go away. And one last thing, I think you really need a lot of nutritional yeast. That has the B1 to reduce your stress. You're going to feel real calm. Take that before you go to work, during work, and after work. It's nutritional yeast. You can get it in tablets, or you can take it in a powder.
Yeah, and another thing to understand, for everybody to understand, is that carbohydrates, you use the phrase, the stress is increased. But what also happens is your tolerance to stress decreases.
Right.
So it might feel like you have more stress. In fact, you might have less stress, what you would perceive earlier as less stress. But your ability to tolerate stress goes down, down, down. So if you're feeling stressed, if the environment around you is stressing you out, if there's a person that's stressing you out and you say, well, that's why I eat the carbs, well, just know you have now made yourself less tolerant to your own environment and the people around you. So the thing to do is get the carbs out so that you have a higher ability to tolerate what's happening around you.
And some people even, it gets so bad that they can't even tolerate slow drivers. They have a problem babysitting for over 8 hours in a daycare center, about 15 little kids that are crying.
That's a high stress.
So they get to that point where they can't even tolerate that. So
they can't,
it gets bad.
Or surfing with the remote, not picking a channel, and that's just annoying.
Have a wonderful Christmas, guys. We'll see you
Have a great Christmas.
in
We're not
2
gonna,
weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Have a great Christmas and a wonderful New Year. And we all survived it.
And
we all survived 2020.
I'll see you next year.
Me too.